Hey everyone, it's Hirsch Wilson. Today is July 2nd, and by my count, we've been in this pandemic for as long as I've been an adult, or at least that's how it feels. I want to start with a story I read a few weeks ago. Along the coastline of Japan, there are these stones set back quite a ways from the shoreline. They're called tsunami stones. Some of them are almost 10 feet tall, and a few are over 600 years old. They were set there by survivors of tsunamis to indicate the location of the high water mark. Etched on the stones are two warnings. The first warning is to remind villagers to head for higher ground after an earthquake. The second warning is to remind people not to build houses and cities below the tsunami stone. They sit there as a reminder that tsunamis have happened and that they will happen again. We, of course, have had our own tsunami stones in regards to viruses and pandemics. They've stretched back as far back as there have been humans. There were viruses that were extinction level events. There were viruses like the Black Plague that in the 1300s that wiped out half of Europe. During our Civil War, 2/3 of the 660,000 deaths were caused by infectious disease. Closer to our time, we've had the 1919 flu pandemic, we've had smallpox, we've had polio, we've had Ebola, we've had HIV, and now we have COVID. All of these are tsunami stones, telling us that infectious disease has always been here and will always be with us. But these pass from our collective memories, and we forget about them, and we build our cities too close to the shore. Arrogance is part of the answer. We believe that because we're human and we're technologically advanced, that the rules that apply to all the other species on the planet do not apply to us. But closer to the truth is that we are in this complex and wondrous biosphere, this amazing web of life, and we are governed by the same rules as the birds that fly, the fish that swim, and the insects that crawl in the dirt. Viruses are a constant reminder of this fact. They have shaped civilizations. Viruses will always rise in human populations. What does this have to do with us in our day-to-day lives? Dr. Fauci, in one of his unmuzzled moments, acknowledged that we have almost an anti-science bias for reasons, he said, that were inconceivable. And yet, it is science that will get us through this pandemic. It is science that will lead us through climate change. If I could get in my soapbox for a second, I would say that I think it's our responsibility as citizens in this increasingly technological world, in a world that needs science that is necessary for human survival, that we need to be scientifically literate. We need to embrace science. We need to think science is cool. We need to teach our children that science is cool. I don't imagine that governments being run by people in white coats. I think science needs a moral compass. Jacob Bernofsky, who was a British mathematician during the Second World War, who lost his family in Auschwitz, wrote that a child can use his mathematical abilities to build a better world or to do the final death count at one of the camps. In the same vein, a psychologist can treat their patients, or they can use their skills to create better ways to torture people at Abu Ghraib. Or in our own example, scientists can give us projections of how many people will die dependent on how we open up the country. But it's up to us as educated and ethical people to decide what's acceptable. So be part of the conversation. Teach yourself and your children to love science, and remember where the tsunami stones are. Be brave, be kind, wash your hands, wear your mask, and follow the science.